The giant space station floated in the dark between stars like a metal city. Inside its biggest meeting room, the most powerful beings in the galaxy sat around a table made of crystal that glowed with soft blue light. These were not humans, but creatures from distant worlds who had ruled space for thousands of years. Commander Bayek was the first to speak. His body looked like a giant lizard that walked on two legs. His scales were dark blue and his eyes glowed red when he was angry. Right now, he was very angry. He had been waiting for this meeting for months. His clawed hands drummed on the crystal table, making tiny clicking sounds. Next to him sat Admiral Yoon. She looked like a giant bug with 4 arms and huge round eyes that could see in all directions at once. Her body made soft buzzing sounds when she moved. She commanded millions of smaller bugs that acted like one giant mind. When she gave orders, they all moved together like a dance. On the other side of the table, General Park flickered like lightning trapped in glass. He was made of pure energy that sparked and crackled inside a crystal shell. His people were beings of light and electricity who could move through space without ships. When he spoke, his voice sounded like thunder. These 3 leaders controlled most of the galaxy. Their armies had conquered hundreds of worlds. Their ships could destroy entire planets. No one had ever successfully fought against them, and 1.6 months ago their scouts had found something new. A small blue and green planet on the edge of space where a young species lived. The beings there called themselves humans, and they had only just learned to travel between stars. Their technology was simple compared to the great powers. Their weapons were weak. Their armies were small. The 3 leaders had spent months arguing about what to do with this new world they called Earth. Some wanted to study the humans. Others wanted to trade with them. But today the arguing would end. Today they would make their decision. Commander Bayek stood up. His voice was deep and loud and filled the entire room. He told the others that Earth would become a slave world. The humans would work in their mines digging up metals and crystals. They would fight in their armies as soldiers. They would be used for experiments to help alien science. The choice was simple, Bayek said. The humans could surrender now and become slaves, or they could refuse and watch their world burn. Earth had 7 days to decide. After that, the 3 great fleets would come and take what they wanted by force. Admiral Yoon buzzed in agreement. Her people needed workers for their hive cities. Humans would make good drones if they could be properly trained. If not, they could be processed for food. Either way, they would serve the collective. General Park crackled with electricity as he spoke. His people needed test subjects to study biological life forms. Humans would provide excellent research material. Their energy patterns were interesting, and their brains worked in unusual ways. The meeting ended with all 3 leaders agreeing. A message would be sent to Earth immediately. The humans would have 7 days to surrender completely or face total destruction. It was the same ultimatum they had given to dozens of other worlds. None had ever refused. But something had gone wrong with their message system. The signal meant for Earth government was picked up by other receivers too. One of these was a small monitoring station on Mars, the red planet next to Earth. Staff Sergeant Kim was working the night shift at the Mars station when the alien message came through. He was a career Marine who had served in many dangerous places on Earth. He had fought against terrorists and criminals and enemy soldiers. He had seen bullies before, but never like this. Kim watched as the translation computer turned the alien words into English. The message was clear and simple. Surrender or die. Become slaves or be destroyed. 7 days to decide. Most people would have been scared. Most people would have called for help and waited for orders. But Kim was not most people. He was a United States Marine, and Marines do not surrender to anyone for any reason. Kim immediately sent the alien message to Earth Command with a priority alert. The government needed to know what was coming, but he also did something else. He started preparing for war. Kim began studying everything the monitoring station had collected about these aliens. He looked at their ship designs and their weapon systems. He analyzed their communication patterns and their military tactics. He learned about their technology and their strategies. What Kim found made him angry, but also gave him hope. These aliens were powerful and their technology was advanced, but they were also arrogant. They had never lost a real fight because no one had ever really fought back against them. They expected fear and surrender, not resistance and war. Kim spent the next 3 days learning everything he could about the enemy. He studied their fleet movements and their command structures. He figured out how their ships worked and where their weak points might be. Most importantly, he realized something the aliens did not know about humans. Humans were different from every other species these aliens had conquered. Other species fought with honor and followed rules and gave up when the odds were impossible. Humans fought dirty and broke rules and kept fighting even when they should lose. Kim started modifying the equipment at his station. He turned mining lasers into weapons. He converted cargo containers into bombs. He rigged communication systems to jam alien signals. He prepared booby traps and backup plans and escape routes. On the 4th day, Kim made a decision that would change the galaxy forever. He opened a communication channel on all alien frequencies. He made sure his message would reach every alien ship and every alien commander and every alien leader. The message was short and simple. Kim identified himself as Staff Sergeant Kim of the United States Marine Corps, speaking for planet Earth. He told the aliens they wanted war and now they had it. He explained that Marines do not surrender and do not retreat and do not bow to alien scum. He said they had picked the wrong planet to threaten. Kim ended his message with 2 words that would become famous across the galaxy. Semper Fi, he said. It meant always faithful in an old Earth language. It was the motto of the Marines. The alien leaders received Kim's message with shock and rage. How dare one member of this primitive species challenge their might? Commander, Beck immediately ordered ships to attack the Mars station. Admiral Yoon sent her fastest fighters to capture Kim alive. General Park wanted the human vaporized as an example. None of them understood what they had just done. They had declared war on the most dangerous creature in the galaxy, a United States Marine with nothing left to lose and everything to fight. For the galaxy was about to learn why Earth had never been conquered. Captain Lee sat in the emergency meeting room deep under Earth Command headquarters. The alien ultimatum glowed on the big screen in front of him. Around the table sat generals and politicians and scientists all talking at once. Their voices filled the room with panic and fear. Some wanted to surrender immediately to save lives. Others demanded they fight even though they would lose. The Secretary of Defense kept asking about evacuation plans. The President wanted to know about diplomatic solutions. Everyone was scared and no one had good answers. The alien fleets were massive according to the intelligence reports. Their ships were bigger than Earth cities. Their weapons could destroy planets. Their technology was thousands of years ahead of anything humans had built. Fighting them seemed like suicide. While Earth leaders argued about impossible choices, Staff Sergeant Kim was already at work on Mars. He had not slept in 72 hours since sending his challenge to the aliens. Every minute counted now. The enemy would come soon and he needed to be ready. Kim had turned his small monitoring station into something new. He stripped out everything that was not needed for fighting. The comfortable living quarters became weapons storage. The recreation room became an armor. The communication center became a command post for war. The mining equipment at the station was designed to cut through solid rock and extract valuable minerals. Kim realized these same lasers could cut through alien ships if used properly. He began modifying them with spare parts and creative engineering. What had been tools for peaceful mining became weapons for desperate war. Kim also started working on the cargo containers that brought supplies from Earth. These big metal boxes normally carried food and equipment and other necessities for the Mars station. Kim emptied them out and filled them with every explosive device he could find. Mining charges became warheads. Industrial chemicals became bomb components. Even the station's power cells could be turned into weapons if necessary. But Kim knew that weapons alone would not be enough. He needed to understand his enemy better. So he spent hours studying every piece of alien communication the station had intercepted. He learned their language patterns and their military codes and their command structures. What Kim discovered was both frightening and encouraging. The aliens were incredibly powerful, but they were also predictable. They had conquered so many worlds that they always used the same tactics. They would send a large fleet to intimidate their enemies. When that did not work, they would attack with overwhelming force until their opponents surrendered. The problem for the aliens was that they had never fought humans before. Every other species in the galaxy followed certain rules of warfare. They had codes of honor and accepted defeat when the situation was hopeless. They fought like civilized beings with organized armies and proper strategies. Humans did not fight like that, Kim realized. Humans fought to win, no matter what the cost. They used any weapon available and any tactic that worked. They did not give up even when they should. Most importantly, they were unpredictable in ways that confused enemies who expected logical behavior. Kim began planning his defense based on this insight. The aliens would expect him to position his weapons in logical places and follow standard defensive patterns. Instead, Kim would do things that made no sense to alien military thinking, but perfect sense to a Marine who had learned to fight dirty. On Earth, the government was still debating surrender when Kim sent his second message. This one was directed at Earth Command, and it was much longer than his challenge to the aliens. Kim explained what he had learned about alien tactics and what he was planning to do about it. The message shocked everyone who read it. Kim was not just planning to fight the alien task force coming to Mars. He was planning to win. His strategy seemed impossible, but it was based on solid intelligence about alien weaknesses and human strengths. Captain Lee took Kim's message to the president immediately. The plan was crazy, but it was also the only plan anyone had that did not involve surrender or hopeless last stands. More importantly, it was a plan that could actually work if everything went right. Earth Command began mobilizing. Based on Kim's battle plan, every military base started modifying their weapons using Kim's specifications. Every shipyard began converting civilian vessels into warships using Kim designs. Every factory switched to producing equipment for Kim type of warfare. But the real change was in how humans started thinking about the coming war. Kim had shown them that advanced alien technology was not magic. It was just engineering that could be countered with better engineering. The aliens were not invincible gods. They were just bullies who had never been punched back. Admiral Song took command of Earth space defenses using Kim recommendations. She had spent her career in the Navy, managing supply lines and logistics. Now she was tasked with turning Earth's entire industrial capacity into a weapon of war. Song began implementing what became known as the Kim Doctrine. Instead of building traditional military equipment, Earth would focus on improvised weapons and unexpected tactics. Every civilian factory could become a weapons plant. Every civilian ship could become a warship. Every citizen could become a soldier if necessary. The transformation of Earth was incredible to watch. Car factories started building combat drones. Chemical plants began producing explosives with compositions alien sensors could not identify. Even clothing manufacturers started making armor and camouflage for the coming war. Meanwhile, on Mars, Kim put the finishing touches on his preparations. The mining station now looked nothing like its original design. Weapons stuck out at odd angles. Armor plating covered every surface. Warning signs in multiple languages told anyone approaching to stay away. Kim made one final broadcast before the aliens arrived. This message went to every human on Earth and Mars and the Moon and the space stations. He told them that the enemy was coming, but humans were ready. He reminded them that freedom was worth fighting for, no matter what the odds. The message ended with Kim promising that the aliens would learn something new about humans. They thought they were fighting a primitive species with weak technology and small armies. Instead, they were about to discover that humans possessed something no other species in the galaxy had. Humans had the absolute refusal to kneel to tyrants, no matter how powerful those tyrants seemed to be. The aliens wanted slaves, but humans would give them war. They expected surrender, but humans would give them destruction. They demanded submission, but humans would give them the fight of their lives. Kim's final words echoed across the solar system as alien ships appeared on the sensors. The enemy was coming in force just as he had predicted. But they were coming to fight a species they did not understand, using tactics they had never encountered against an opponent who would rather die than surrender. The galaxy was about to witness something it had never seen before. A small monitoring station on Mars was about to become the site of the most important battle in galactic history. The alien fleet approaching Mars was the largest military force ever sent against a single target. Commander Bayek had brought 50 of his best warships, each one larger than Earth's biggest cities. The massive vessels moved through space like floating fortresses bristling with weapons that could level mountains. Admiral Yoon fighters filled the space around the main fleet like a swarm of deadly insects. Thousands of biomechanical ships moved in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming in the red light from Mars. Each fighter was controlled by the hive mind, and they acted as one giant organism with a single purpose: to destroy the human who dared challenge their power. General Park forces were different from the others. His energy beings had formed themselves into living weapons made of pure electricity and plasma. They moved through space without ships, containing themselves in crystal shells that could slice through any known material. When they attacked, they would become lightning itself. Together, the three fleets represented enough firepower to destroy entire solar systems. They had never been defeated in battle and had crushed every enemy they had ever faced. This would be easy, they thought. One primitive human with mining equipment could not possibly stand against them. Staff Sergeant Kim watched their approach from his modified monitoring station. His weathered face was calm as he made final preparations. He had spent every hour since his challenge turning the small outpost into something the galaxy had never seen before. A fortress designed not just to fight but to win against impossible odds. The mining lasers were now arranged in overlapping fields of fire that could target multiple enemies at once. The cargo containers had been converted into guided missiles with improvised navigation systems. Every piece of equipment had been weaponized in ways the alien designers could never have imagined. Kim had also prepared something else the aliens did not expect. He had studied their psychology and their tactics for days. He knew they would attack in waves, trying to overwhelm him with superior numbers and firepower. But he also knew they had never faced an opponent who refused to play by their rules. The first attack came from Admiral Yoon biomechanical fighters. They swarmed toward the station in perfect formation, expecting to overwhelm the tiny outpost with sheer numbers. Their weapons were designed to work together, creating devastating combined attacks that no defense could withstand. But Kim was ready for them. His modified mining lasers opened fire in rapid sequence, each beam targeted with surgical precision. The aliens had energy shields designed to deflect their own advanced weapons, but they had never encountered the raw, brutal power of human mining. Equipment pushed beyond all safety limits. Fighter after fighter exploded in brilliant flashes of light as Kim picked them off with methodical accuracy. The biomechanical ships tried to adapt their formation, but Kim had programmed random firing patterns that made prediction impossible. His weapons struck from unexpected angles at unpredictable times. The hive fighters that survived the first barrage regrouped for another attack. But Kim had anticipated this too. As they reformed their perfect formation, he launched his first wave of converted cargo containers. The makeshift missiles flew toward the enemy in erratic patterns that confused their targeting systems. The aliens tried to shoot down these crude weapons, but the containers were designed to explode even if hit. Each one carried enough industrial explosives to damage multiple ships. When they detonated, they created chain reactions that tore through the tight alien formations. Admiral Yoon watched in shock as hundreds of her fighters were destroyed by what appeared to be flying garbage containers. This was not how battles were supposed to work. The human was fighting without honor, using weapons that should not exist and tactics that made no sense. Commander Bayek decided to end this embarrassment quickly. His massive warships moved in next, their heavy weapons charging for a bombardment that should reduce the station to atoms. These were the most powerful weapons in the reptilian empire, designed to crack open planets. Kim watched the warships approach and activated his second defensive system. He had spent days studying their attack patterns and found their weakness. These aliens had never fought a guerrilla war. They expected their enemies to stand still and trade shots like gentlemen. Instead, Kim did something that horrified the alien commanders. As the warships closed in, he launched everything he had at once. Modified cargo containers became guided missiles filled with every explosive device he could find. Mining charges became warheads. Industrial chemicals became bomb components. Even the station power cells were rigged to explode. The results were spectacular. Alien shields designed to deflect energy weapons offered little protection against raw kinetic force and chemical explosives. The improvised weapons struck the warships from multiple directions at once, creating damage patterns the aliens had never seen before. Warship after warship suffered critical damage as Kim missiles tore through their formations. The aliens tried to retreat and regroup, but Kim had planned for this too. His weapons were programmed to target engines and command centers, making organized withdrawal impossible. But the real surprise came when General Park energy beings tried their direct assault. They had abandoned their crystal shells and were approaching the station as pure energy, intending to overload its systems and kill Kim with electricity itself. Kim had prepared for this too. He activated the station magnetic fields at maximum power, creating electromagnetic chaos that disrupted their energy forms. He used polished metal surfaces to reflect their attacks back at them. When all else failed, he rammed them with mining equipment while screaming marine battle cries over open communication channels. The energy beings had never encountered anything like human stubbornness made manifest. Kim did not just fight them. He fought dirty. He used every trick he had learned in years of combat against human enemies. He improvised weapons from spare parts. He set traps using industrial equipment. He even threw tools at them when his guns ran out of ammunition. The battle lasted 18 hours, and when it was over, the space around Mars was filled with the wreckage of alien ships. Thousands of enemy fighters had been destroyed. Dozens of massive warships were drifting powerless through space. The energy beings had fled back to their home dimension wounded and confused. A single human marine armed with mining equipment and pure determination had defeated a force capable of conquering star systems. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as impossible became reality. The great powers that had ruled space for millennia had been humbled by one man who refused to surrender. Kim stood in his damaged station looking out at the destruction he had caused. His equipment was mostly broken, and his supplies were almost gone. But he was still alive and the enemy was defeated. He activated his communication system one more time to send a message that would echo across the galaxy. The message was simple and direct, delivered in Kim's calm, marine voice. "Mars clear," he said. "Send more aliens if you have got them." The battle was over, but the war was just beginning. Earth would not surrender, and humans would not bow to alien masters no matter how many ships they sent. The 3 alien commanders who survived the battle fled back to their homeworlds in damaged ships and broken pride. They had to report the impossible to their superiors. A single primitive human had destroyed their combined task force using improvised weapons and insane tactics. But something else had happened during the battle that would change everything. Kim's defiant stand had been broadcast across the galaxy by alien communication systems. Every species under alien rule had watched a lone human marine face impossible odds and win. Through sheer determination and creative thinking, the seeds of revolution had been planted throughout the galaxy. If one human could defeat 3 great powers working together, then perhaps freedom was possible after all. The aliens had wanted to make an example of Earth, but instead they had made Earth an example for everyone else. The galaxy would never be the same again. News of the Mars massacre spread across the galaxy, faster than the alien commanders could control it. The battle had been broadcast on their own communication networks, and now every species in known space had watched a single human marine destroy an entire alien task force using nothing but mining equipment and determination. Commander Beck limped back to his homeworld. In a damaged escape pod, his pride shattered along with his fleet. The great reptilian empire had never suffered such a humiliating defeat. His commanders demanded explanations he could not give. How could their most powerful warships be destroyed by converted cargo containers and mining lasers? Admiral Yoon. Hive Collective was in complete chaos. The destruction of so many fighters had disrupted their perfect coordination. For the first time in centuries, the drones were acting independently instead of following the group mind. Some were even questioning orders, which had never happened before in their history. General Park energy beings flickered weakly as they tried to understand what had happened to them. They had been defeated by a species that used solid matter and chemical explosives instead of pure energy. Their confidence was shaken and their power was reduced by the wounds Kim had inflicted on their energy forms. But the destruction of the task force was only the beginning. Staff Sergeant Kim actions had awakened something in humanity that the aliens had never encountered before. Earth was not just one world with one small military. It was an entire species that refused to be victims. Across Earth military bases buzzed with activity as soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines studied Kim tactics. If one Marine with mining equipment could destroy an entire alien fleet, then what could humanity accomplish when properly prepared for war? The answer came from an unexpected source. Captain Min had spent her career as a quiet logistics officer, managing supply chains and inventory systems. She was not a combat soldier or a famous leader. She was just someone who understood how to move things efficiently from one place to another. But when she analyzed Kim battle reports, she saw something others missed. Min realized that Kim's success came from improvisation and unpredictability rather than superior firepower. The aliens had advanced technology and overwhelming numbers, but they expected their enemies to fight using conventional tactics. Humans could win by being unconventional in ways aliens could not predict or counter. Min proposed something that stunned Earth military leadership. Instead of trying to match alien technology, humans should turn their entire industrial base into a weapon. Every factory could make military equipment. Every civilian could contribute to the war effort. Every resource could be weaponized if used creatively. The transformation began immediately. Car factories stopped making vehicles and started building combat drones using the same assembly line techniques. Chemical plants began producing explosives with compositions that alien sensors could not identify. Electronics companies started making jamming devices and computer viruses designed to disrupt alien systems. Even civilian spacecraft were modified with hidden weapons and armor. Passenger ships became disguised warships. Cargo vessels carried concealed missile launchers. Research stations were turned into observation posts and weapon testing facilities. The aliens expected traditional military responses, but humans gave them total war. The galactic powers tried to respond to this new threat, but they faced a problem they had never encountered before. Every species they had conquered before fought like them, using organized fleets, traditional tactics, and predictable strategies. Humans fought like humans, which meant they fought creatively and with determination that bordered on insanity. When alien scouts tried to investigate Earth defenses, they found nothing where they expected military bases and everything weaponized where they expected peaceful civilian infrastructure. Schools had been converted to training centers. Hospitals were manufacturing medical supplies for combat. Even farms were growing crops that could be processed into explosive compounds. The turning point came when Captain Min led the first human counterattack. She had assembled a fleet of converted civilian ships disguised as merchant vessels and refugee transports. The aliens saw what appeared to be helpless civilians fleeing Earth and decided to capture them for interrogation and experimentation. Min fleet penetrated deep into alien space before revealing their true nature. The merchant ships opened hidden weapon bays and began attacking alien patrol vessels with weapons the enemy had never seen before. Railguns built from particle accelerators fired metal slugs at incredible speeds. Nuclear devices disguised as cargo containers exploded inside alien ships. Most terrifyingly for the aliens, Min ships carried human Marines who had spent weeks studying alien ship layouts and planning boarding actions. These soldiers fought through alien vessels using modified construction equipment and improvised weapons. They moved through enemy ships like they owned them, destroying everything in their path. The aliens discovered that humans did not follow the civilized rules of space warfare. They did not accept surrender gracefully. They did not treat prisoners with honor. They did not limit their attacks to military targets. They fought total war against everything alien until nothing was left standing. Colonel Han commanded another human attack on a major alien supply depot, using tactics that horrified galactic observers. His forces did not engage in direct combat with the defenders. Instead, they used psychological warfare, broadcasting Earth music at volumes that disrupted alien communications and made their soldiers unable to think clearly. When the aliens tried to adapt to this new tactic, Han switched to something else entirely. His troops used industrial mining equipment to tunnel under the depot and plant explosives in the foundation. The entire facility collapsed into a crater, while the alien defenders were still trying to figure out where the attack was coming from. Major Sue specialized in electronic warfare using strategies that turned alien technology against itself. She had assembled a team of computer programmers, radio technicians, and professional hackers who treated alien networks like just another system to crack. They did not try to match alien technology. Instead, they corrupted it from within. Sue forces would infiltrate alien communication systems and reprogram them to broadcast false orders. Enemy ships would receive commands to attack each other instead of human targets. Alien bases would shut down their own defenses thinking they were following proper protocols. The most devastating human attack came when Captain J led a strike against an alien research facility. Instead of sending traditional assault troops, J brought theoretical physicists, electrical engineers, and power plant technicians. The aliens expected military enemies, but humans sent scientists who understood technology better than the aliens themselves. J team did not try to destroy the alien facility, they reprogrammed it. They turned the aliens' own power systems against them, creating feedback loops that overloaded technology across multiple star systems. Entire alien fleets lost power and drifted helplessly through space while their crews tried to understand what had happened. The galaxy watched in growing horror as human forces did not just fight back, but fought to win. Every engagement revealed new human capabilities, new weapons, and new tactics that seemed to come from nowhere. The aliens had started this conflict expecting an easy conquest, but instead found themselves fighting a species that treated impossible odds as an interesting challenge. What terrified the galactic powers most was that humans seemed to enjoy the war. Instead of being intimidated by superior alien technology, they studied it and found ways to turn it into weakness. Instead of being overwhelmed by impossible odds, they used creativity and determination to even the playing field. The three great empires that had ruled the galaxy for millennia suddenly found themselves on the defensive for the first time in their history. Humans had proven that advanced technology meant nothing without the will to use it effectively, and that no amount of firepower could overcome an opponent who refused to be defeated. The galaxy had changed forever, and there was no going back to the old ways of easy conquest and simple domination. 6 months after Kim's legendary stand at Mars, the galaxy had become a battlefield unlike anything in recorded history. What began as a simple demand for Earth surrender had grown into the largest war the galaxy had ever seen. Human forces had not only defended their home system but had launched attacks across 3 different star sectors, bringing the fight directly to alien homeworlds. The 3 galactic powers found themselves fighting a type of warfare they could not understand or predict. Every time they thought they had figured out human tactics, the humans would do something completely different. Every time they adapted to human weapons, the humans would invent new ones from materials that should not be dangerous. Colonel Han commanded the human assault on the Vorthon home system, leading a fleet that looked nothing like any military force in galactic history. His flagship had once been a luxury cruise liner designed to carry wealthy passengers between star systems. Now it bristled with weapons built from mining equipment, industrial fabricators, and even modified kitchen appliances. The crew of Han flagship included people who had never been soldiers before the war started. Former cruise staff had trained as gunners learning to operate weapon systems built from repurposed entertainment equipment. Retired teachers now operated missile launchers made from modified food processors. The head chef had become their explosives expert, using his knowledge of chemistry to create bombs from cooking ingredients. When the Vorthon defenders saw Han fleet approaching, they could not believe what they were seeing. The human ships looked like they had been built in a junkyard by people who had never heard of proper military engineering. Weapons stuck out at impossible angles. Armor plating was bolted on wherever it would fit. Communication arrays were made from spare parts and creative thinking. The aliens expected this ridiculous fleet to be easy targets for their advanced warships. Instead, they discovered that human improvisation was far more dangerous than alien perfection. Han ships did not fight using traditional tactics. They used strategies that no civilized species had ever imagined possible. The battle for Vorthon Prime showcased everything the galaxy had come to fear about human warfare. Han forces did not engage in ship-to-ship combat the way space battles were supposed to work. Instead, they used kamikaze attacks with remote-controlled vessels loaded with explosives. They sent boarding parties that fought through alien ships using construction equipment and mining tools. Most disturbing to the aliens was the psychological warfare humans employed. Han forces broadcast Earth music and human battle cries at volumes that disrupted alien communication systems. They painted their ships with bright colors and strange symbols that confused enemy targeting computers. They even used humor as a weapon, making jokes over open channels while destroying alien vessels. When Vorthon defenders tried to use their superior shields and armor, humans simply ignored these advantages and attacked with weapons their technology could not stop. Kinetic projectiles fired from modified construction equipment punched through energy barriers. Chemical explosives created by food service workers melted advanced alien alloys. Meanwhile, Major Sue was leading a different type of assault against the Hive Collective, using strategies that turned the aliens' greatest strength into their weakness. The Collective relied on perfect coordination between millions of drone fighters, but Sue had studied their communication methods and developed jammers that created chaos in their ranks. Sue forces included not just military personnel, but computer programmers, radio technicians, and professional hackers. These civilian experts had spent months learning how alien networks operated. They discovered that the hive mind was actually a sophisticated computer system that could be attacked like any other network. The assault on the collective core worlds was unlike anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. Instead of fighting the drones directly, Sioux forces attacked their communication systems. Jamming devices built from civilian electronics disrupted the signals that controlled drone behavior. Computer viruses created by Earth hackers corrupted the programs that coordinated fleet movements. The results were spectacular and terrifying. Hive fleets that had moved in perfect formation for centuries suddenly began attacking each other. Drones that had never acted independently started making random decisions. The perfect order of the collective dissolved into chaos as their own technology was turned against them. But the most devastating human attack came at the Plasma Federation Energy Research Facility, where Captain J led a strike force unlike any military unit in galactic history. His team included theoretical physicists, electrical engineers, and power plant technicians, rather than traditional soldiers. The aliens expected assault teams with advanced weapons and military training. Instead, humans sent scientists who understood energy better than the energy beings themselves. J-Team did not try to fight the Plasma Federation with conventional tactics. They attacked the fundamental principles that allowed the energy beings to exist. J scientists had studied captured alien technology for months, learning how the Plasma Federation controlled and contained their energy forms. They discovered weaknesses in the alien understanding of physics that could be exploited by human knowledge and creativity. The attack on the research facility was a masterpiece of human ingenuity. Instead of trying to destroy the installation, J-Team reprogrammed it using principles of electrical engineering that the energy beings had never considered. They created feedback loops in the alien power systems that cascaded across multiple star systems. The results exceeded all human expectations. Alien technology throughout Plasma Federation space began failing as the energy beings lost control of their own power sources. Entire fleets of energy ships simply dissolved back into raw electricity. Research stations exploded when their containment systems overloaded. Most importantly, the energy beings themselves were wounded by the attack. Their forms became unstable, and their ability to maintain coherent thought was disrupted. For the first time in their history, they experienced something like fear, as they realized their own existence could be threatened by human understanding of science. But the real shock for the galactic powers came when they tried to retaliate against Earth itself. Admiral Yoon managed to assemble a combined fleet from all three empires determined to end human resistance by destroying their home world once and for all. It was the largest military force ever gathered in galactic history. What the aliens found when they reached Earth was a planet that had been transformed into the ultimate fortress. The transformation had not been accomplished through alien technology or advanced engineering. It had been done through pure human determination and the creative use of everything available. Every major city on Earth had been converted into a weapons platform using modified industrial equipment and improvised defensive systems. The orbital space around the planet was filled with disguised stations that looked like civilian installations, but were actually military bases. Even Earth-Moon had been hollowed out and turned into a massive gun platform. The Battle of Earth lasted 3 days and showed the galaxy what humans could accomplish when they were properly motivated. The alien fleet that had seemed invincible was systematically destroyed by weapons that should not have worked, and tactics that defied all military logic. Human defenders used everything from modified civilian aircraft to weaponized weather control systems. They turned Earth's magnetic field into a defensive weapon. They used the planet gravity well to accelerate projectiles to incredible speeds. They even convinced some of the alien energy beings to switch sides by demonstrating that cooperation was better than domination. When the battle ended, the space around Earth was filled with the wreckage of what had once been the most powerful fleet in galactic history. Surviving alien ships fled back to their home systems carrying news that would shake the foundations of galactic civilization. The message they brought was simple and terrifying. Humans had not just defended their world. They had proven that the great galactic powers could be defeated by any species willing to fight for freedom. The technology and numbers that had maintained alien dominance for millennia meant nothing against opponents who refused to surrender. General Park, few remaining energy beings, flickered weakly as they tried to process what had happened. They had been the masters of energy and electricity for thousands of years, but humans had used basic electrical engineering to turn their own power against them. Their certainty about their superiority had been shattered along with their technology. Commander Bayek, surviving commanders reported back to the Reptilian Empire with news that horrified their leadership. The great warships that had conquered countless worlds had been destroyed by weapons made from mining equipment and kitchen appliances. Their advanced military doctrine had been defeated by human creativity and determination. Admiral Yoon found her Hive Collective in complete disarray. The perfect coordination that had been their greatest strength had become their greatest weakness when humans turned it against them. Drones were questioning orders for the first time in their history, and some were even refusing to fight against humans. But something else had happened during the war that would change everything. Humans had not fought this conflict to conquer. The final battle of the Human Galactic War took place at the center of known space where the Galactic Council had ruled for over 10,000 years. The massive space station served as the political heart of galactic civilization and had never been successfully attacked in its entire history. Its defenses were legendary, and its weapons had never been defeated. Admiral Song led the human fleet to this ultimate target, commanding ships that represented everything the galaxy had learned to fear about human warfare. Her fleet included military vessels, converted civilian craft, and ships that defied every known principle of space engineering. Some looked like they had been built by children playing with spare parts, but each one carried weapons that could destroy worlds. The Council Station defenses were more powerful than anything humans had faced before. Energy barriers surrounded the installation that could deflect entire fleet attacks. Weapon systems protected every approach with firepower that had crushed the greatest military forces in galactic history. Guard fleets patrolled the surrounding space with ships from every major species. But Song fleet did not approach like a traditional military force. Instead, they did something no civilized species had ever attempted. They completely ignored the rules of galactic warfare and pretended to be something they were not. Human ships approached the station disguised as traders, refugees, and diplomatic vessels. The deception worked because humans had studied alien psychology for months. They knew that the galactic powers expected their enemies to announce themselves and fight honorably. The idea that someone would lie about their intentions and use deception as a weapon was so foreign to alien thinking that they could not imagine it happening. Song had divided her forces into multiple groups that approached from different directions using false identification and creative storytelling. Some claimed to be merchant vessels bringing trade goods. Others posed as refugee ships fleeing from human-occupied worlds. A few even pretended to be diplomatic missions seeking to negotiate surrender. The alien defenders were so confident in their superiority that they allowed these apparently harmless vessels to approach their sacred political center. They scanned the ships and found no obvious weapons. They monitored communications and heard nothing suspicious. They had no idea they were being invaded by the most dangerous military force in galactic history. The breakthrough came when Marine Lieutenant Park led a boarding party disguised as a cultural exchange delegation. His team included linguists who had mastered alien languages, anthropologists who understood alien social customs, and Marines who had trained for months to fight in the unique environment of the Council Station. Park team had studied the layout of the station for weeks using intelligence gathered from alien databases that human hackers had penetrated. They knew which corridors led to critical systems. They understood how alien security worked. Most importantly, they had planned specific tactics for fighting each species they would encounter. When Park team revealed their true purpose, the aliens found themselves facing human soldiers who had prepared for exactly this scenario. The Marines moved through the station like they had been born there using modified equipment and unconventional tactics designed specifically for fighting inside alien architecture. The battle inside the Council Station was unlike anything in galactic history. Humans fought through corridors designed for different species with different atmospheric requirements. They adapted to artificial gravity systems that changed from section to section. They faced aliens who had never imagined anyone would dare attack their most sacred political institution. But Park Marines had prepared for every challenge they encountered. They carried breathing equipment that worked in multiple atmospheric conditions. They had trained in variable gravity environments. They understood alien psychology well enough to predict how different species would react to unexpected attack. The fighting was fierce but brief. Alien defenders who had never faced real combat were overwhelmed by human soldiers who had trained their entire lives for war. Security systems designed to stop conventional attacks were useless against human creativity and improvisation. Within hours, Park team had captured the main command center of the station and disabled its defensive systems. The remaining human fleet dropped their disguises and began the systematic destruction of the guard fleets using tactics that had become terrifyingly familiar to galactic observers. The turning point came when Staff Sergeant Kim himself arrived at the council chamber. The same Marine who had started the war with his defiant message at Mars now stood before the terrified galactic leaders who had demanded Earth surrender. But instead of demanding their unconditional surrender, Kim offered them something no conqueror in galactic history had ever proposed. Kim's final speech to the Galactic Council became legendary across known space. He explained that humans had not fought this war to conquer or destroy alien civilizations. They had fought to prove a simple point that no species, no matter how advanced or powerful, had the right to demand that others surrender their freedom. The Marine told the assembled alien leaders that the galaxy was big enough for everyone, but it required mutual respect rather than domination. Humanity had proven that advanced technology and superior numbers meant nothing compared to the determination of people who refused to kneel to tyrants. Kim offered the aliens something they had never expected. Instead of demanding tribute or territory, humans would share their knowledge and technology freely, but only as equals, never as masters or slaves. The age of galactic empires built on conquest and domination was ending, and a new era of cooperation was beginning. The alien leaders, who had started this war by demanding Earth surrender, now found themselves facing a choice. They could continue fighting and face the complete destruction of their civilizations, or they could accept human terms and learn to coexist as equals in a galaxy where freedom was more important than power. The decision was not difficult to make. The three great empires that had ruled space for millennia formally surrendered to humanity and agreed to disband their aggressive fleets. The Galactic Council was reformed with human representatives, and new laws were established that protected smaller species from the kind of ultimatum that had started the conflict. The war ended not with humanity conquering the galaxy, but with the galaxy learning a lesson it had never imagined possible. Advanced technology and overwhelming military force meant nothing if your opponents possessed something more powerful. The absolute refusal to surrender their freedom no matter what. The cost. Years later, when young aliens asked their elders about the human galactic war, they were told a simple truth. Never underestimate a species that produces individuals willing to fight impossible odds for what they believe is right. The galaxy had learned that there were some things more important than survival, and humans had been willing to die to protect them. The great galactic empires were gone, replaced by a confederation of free worlds where no species could dominate others. Trade flourished between worlds that had once been enemies. Science advanced as species shared knowledge instead of hoarding it for military advantage. And somewhere in the galaxy, human Marines continued to stand watch, ready to remind anyone who forgot that lesson exactly why you should never pick a fight with Earth. The age of galactic freedom had begun, and it would be protected by people who understood that some things were worth fighting for, no matter how impossible the odds might seem. The galaxy had learned to fear human determination, but it had also learned to respect human principles. Freedom, justice, and the right to live without fear had become the foundation of galactic civilization. And it had all started with one Marine on Mars who refused to surrender to alien bullies, no matter how powerful they claimed to be.